Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
If you're headed to the polls, don't forget your ID. The race is on the ballot in some local elections.
And if you stepped outside, you know it is warming up fast. I'll show you how many days in a row we could see highs well above normal, near records.
Plus, a new rapid transit program is headed to Raleigh. When it's expected to be up and running and what it could mean for the folks in Raleigh.
It is Election Day in many local communities. Durham, Chapel Hill, and Fayetteville are all selecting a mayor to lead their city or town. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Renee Chu.
And I'm Jeff Hogan. Thanks for joining us. The polls are open for voting for another 7.5 hours. WRAL Capitol Bureau Chief Laura Leslie joins us live from a polling place, a location in Durham right now. And Laura, an important thing for voters, they need to bring that ID to cast a ballot today.
Right, Jeff. You know, things are really hopping here at the Durham Main Library. This is one of downtown's busiest precincts. Durham current mayor Elaine O'Neill opted not to run for re-election. So the top two candidates in the October primary were current city council member Leonardo Williams and current state senator Mike Woodard, who served on the city council for 8 years before he entered the legislature. Those two are going to be facing off today. There are also runoff elections for 3 at-large seats on the council here in Durham. Now, if you're voting today, you need to be aware that you will need a photo ID, a driver's license, passport, and some student IDs are acceptable. But if you forgot your ID today or you don't have one, State Elections Director Karen Brinson Bell says you can still cast your ballot as long as you're a registered voter.
So if a voter doesn't have an acceptable form of ID, they can complete what's called an exception form. And with that, it indicates why a voter was not able to get an ID. Transportation, for example, or they may have a religious objection. A voter can also vote a provisional ballot because they forgot to bring their ID with them.
There's also a big election down the road in Chapel Hill, where incumbent Mayor Pam Heminger decided not to run for re-election also. The candidates for that job are both town council members Jess Anderson and Adam Searing. And Fayetteville voters are also choosing a mayor today. Incumbent Mayor Mitch Colvin faces challenger Freddie De La Cruz. All 9 city council seats are also on the ballot. Now, a lot of Wake County towns will also have elections today, but if you're in Raleigh, you do not have an election. That's because the Raleigh City Council voted to move the election to 2024. Jeff?
All right, Laura Leslie, live at noon. Very busy day for voters. So you can check your voter status, polling place, view a sample ballot, all by going to WRAL.com. WRAL is your place for the fastest election results on the air, online, and on your phone. Tune in to WRAL tonight as the results come in. 5 of the top GOP presidential candidates will face off at a debate in Miami tomorrow night, right here on NBC. Miami's Paramount Tower lit up for the NBC News Republican debate. Former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley, businessman Vivek Ramaswamy, and South Carolina Senator Tim Scott will take the stage tomorrow night. Once again, former President Donald Trump is skipping the debate. Instead, he is holding a campaign rally at the same time in South Florida. Again, the debate will air WRAL tomorrow from 8 until 10 p.m.
Construction is starting on North Carolina's first bus rapid transit line right here in Raleigh. Within the last 90 minutes, the city broke ground on the New Bern Avenue BRT line. So it will connect downtown, Wake Med, and New Hope Road with a faster bus service. WRAL's Matt Tallhelm is live along New Bern Avenue where that groundbreaking took place. Matt, this is an exciting chapter in transportation.
Yeah, it really is, Renee. You can see the City of Raleigh crews are actually cleaning up from that big celebration here. This will be the eastern end of the New Bern Avenue BRT. So this lot here off New Hope Road, we're right by the DMV and the Walmart across the street. This will be a park and ride lot with about 100 cars. So the idea here is people can drive in from eastern Wake County, park here, and then ride the BRT into downtown. City, county, and state leaders are celebrating that groundbreaking. This is a nearly $97 million bus rapid transit line. It'll run 5.4 miles into downtown. The buses drive in their own dedicated lane, and we actually showed you how that looks earlier this year when we traveled to Richmond. That's where they've had a BRT since 2018. Along most of the New Bern line here, the stations will be in the median, so they'll be between the different directions of traffic on New Bern. Raleigh's first BRT will stop at 10 stations, including one right in front of Wake Med.
Oh, it's amazing. It's a game changer for so many people that may not have access to a vehicle or may only have one vehicle in their household, to be able to connect to the city and to the county.
We also got to get on board the first BRT bus to arrive here in Raleigh today. It is a 60-foot articulated bus. That means it bends in the middle almost like an accordion. That's also 20 feet longer than the Go Raleigh buses that are on the road now, and it can carry more people in a single trip. Now, the city says this BRT will actually cut travel times on New Bern Avenue by 10 to 20 minutes round trip compared to the buses today, and even compared it to traffic on the roads today. This construction will all get started officially early next year. It should take about 18 months, so those BRT buses should be up and running by mid-2025. Renee?
Can't come soon enough for some folks. Matt Tallhelm, live in Raleigh. Thanks.
Wake County parents would have to pool their money if they want to give their teacher a gift that costs more than $75. That's under a policy change the school board is considering tonight. The standard hot chocolate mix or bookstore gift card would still be okay. The school board is updating some rules on conflicts of interest. They're intended to limit outside gifts to teachers. The changes are up for a preliminary vote tonight before final approval later this month. Today, a new set of policies related to the so-called Parents' Bill of Rights will be up for a vote in Wake County schools as well. The school board will consider several policy changes as it works to comply with the controversial new law. They include requiring parents to be notified of survey questions being asked of students, permitting parents to request a list of materials their children have checked out from the library, and stating that staff should never encourage or coerce a child into keeping a secret from their parents. The new law requires parental notification of a student's name or pronoun change. The board will meet and discuss all these topics tonight, starting at 5:30.
Afternoon sunshine will help to warm us up to near record highs today. We're expected to hit the 80-degree mark. Elizabeth Gardner is in the WRAL Severe Weather Center with a look at how many days our temperatures stay well above normal this week. Elizabeth.
We have today and tomorrow and Thursday before we start to see a front that'll begin to change things for us. We take a live look at Goldsboro, looking absolutely beautiful. We had a few high thin clouds out there this morning. Those are gone, and it's just gorgeous. It's a little breezy. Our wind coming out of the southwest at 13. That's one of the reasons that we're going to warm up. That breeze coming out of the south is pushing that warm air right into our region. 74 degrees right now. That was our high yesterday. And of course, we have several more hours to go of warming before we start to see the sun setting. 76 in Southern Pines, 75 Goldsboro, 74 in South Hill, 73 in Roxborough right now. Right now, we're anywhere from 3 or 4 to 9 degrees ahead of where we were at this time yesterday. So easily we should hit 80 degrees officially at RDU. The record for today was set just last year in 2022 for 84 degrees, 81 for tomorrow, and the previous record was 80, set back in 1986. Now, it's possible that we would have a little bit of a change in our pattern, and that temperature could be cooler. I'm going to walk you through that coming up in just a few minutes. But Thursday looks like it would be right back up to 80 degrees, most likely. The previous record was 83, set back in 2005. Everything turns cooler for Friday and the weekend. We even have a little bit of rain in our forecast. We'll go over all of that coming up.
Elizabeth, thanks. Durham police are investigating a death near the Eno River Bridge. Officers were called to the 5100 block of North Roxborough Street this morning. Police confirmed there was a body found at that location. We do not know how the person died. We're working to find out that person's name. Police say there's no known threat to the public at this time.
We have new details today about Fujifilm's new drug manufacturing facility in Holly Springs. We have learned Johnson & Johnson Company will be one of the tenants at that facility. Fuji Diosynth, the $2 billion site, is expected to be up and running in 2025. Biotechnologies already has a site in Morrisville. The company says this new one in Holly Springs will be its first large-scale manufacturing site in the U.S. Raleigh City Council members will examine ways to salvage a road widening project in North Raleigh. Leaders are revisiting the plan to widen Six Forks Road after the project came in nearly 4 times the estimated cost. WRAL's Brian Schrader shows us what could be next for people in that area.
Jeff, let's look at the map here. For years, the city has proposed widening a 2-mile-long section of Six Forks Road between Rowan Street in the North Hills area all the way up toward Lynn Road. The design calls for 6 lanes with sidewalks and bike lanes included. Now, voters approved this project in the 2017 transportation bond, and back then the estimated cost was just over $31 million. But 6 years later, as real estate prices have soared, the city now says it could cost as much as $119 million. So today, the City Council is going to talk about what is next for this project. And there are 5 options on the table. They range from widening smaller sections of Six Forks Road to canceling the project altogether. Not clear exactly what City Council may decide to do this afternoon, but of course, we will be following it. Look for updates later today, beginning at 4 here on WRAL News.
Brian, thanks. Next at noon, a dive boat captain is convicted of abandoning his ship during a fire that killed 34 people. What caused the fire and the prison time he faces?
Also, a moment of silence in Tel Aviv, Israel, 1 month after the attack by Hamas. What families of hostages are saying they won't do until the captives are released.
Plus, the 25-year-old cold case in Raleigh gets a major break. At 12:30, what led investigators to make an arrest for a rape?
Download the new WRAL streaming apps on Roku, Fire TV, Apple TV, and Android TV.
A former dive boat captain in California, convicted in connection with a deadly fire, faces up to 10 years in prison when he's sentenced in February. A jury found Jerry Boylan guilty of 1 federal felony count of misconduct or neglect of ship officer. An overnight fire ravaged the ship on Labor Day 2019, killing 34 people on board. Prosecutors say Boylan was the first to abandon ship, as dozens of people remained trapped below deck. Federal investigators say the fire may have been caused by cell phones and batteries left charging overnight. A conservative political commentator leaked images of the writings from the woman who killed 6 people at a Nashville Christian school. The March 27th shooting at the Covenant School was the deadliest school shooting this year in the United States. The shooter killed 3 9-year-old children and 3 adults. For months, parents have been engulfed in a legal battle to prevent the writings from becoming public. One parent whose children survived issued a scathing statement to the person who released the information.
You are a viper. You're a member of the law enforcement community. And you have released evidence that was gathered in our most vulnerable moment. You have now allowed this woman who terrorized our family with bullets to be able to now terrorize us with words from the grave. How could you?
Steven Crowder, who's been accused of homophobia, racism, and misogyny in the past, remains defiant in his beliefs. He contends that he did the right thing by releasing the shooter's writings.
It's been 1 month since the devastating attack by Hamas in Israel. This is a live look right now in Tel Aviv, where they took a moment of silence to remember victims of the attacks and the hostages being held by militants. Large numbers of people gathered near Israeli flags and sang the national anthem after observing a moment of silence to remember those victims. NBC's Jay Gray reports from Tel Aviv, where the families of some of the hostages are vowing not to leave until they're safely returned.
It's now been a full month since the attacks of October 7th. We are in what is now known as Abductee Square. It is an area outside a museum in Tel Aviv that is dedicated to the hostages. And there are exhibits like this with the teddy bears, each one representing a hostage. And as you look across this area, you'll see so many more of these, including the Shabbat table that's been there since the first Shabbat after the attacks and remains set and waiting for the hostages to come home. This is an area that has become very special here. It's a place where people gather. There are rallies here. There's going to be a big rally tonight, not far from where we are located. And then you've got the families of some of the hostages who have decided they are going to stay here, sleep here, live here until their loved ones come home. So they are staying in tents in this area and making sure that the faces of the hostages, that the people behind those faces are remembered by everyone involved. They continue to call for a ceasefire even as the fighting ramps up now inside of Gaza. We know that it's been sectioned off in 2 sections, the south and the north. airstrikes continuing in both of those sections overnight and into the day today. The fighting again continuing at an accelerated pace. And we also know that troops have now fully surrounded Gaza City, and they are preparing within the next 48 hours, we are told, to move in. That's the latest from here in Tel Aviv. I'm Jay Gray, NBC News.
A special award for former Mr. Universe actor and governor of California, Arnold Schwarzenegger. He received the Award of Courage at the Holocaust Museum of Los Angeles' annual gala. Schwarzenegger's father was a Nazi soldier during World War II. The former governor of California has been a vocal opponent of anti-Semitism and hate speech for many years.
Tickets for Dreamville 2024 are now on sale for a select group. Today, you have your first chance to get tickets for the Dreamville Festival. Organizers released the first batch of 2-day passes for the music festival next spring. The tickets are available for people who subscribe to the Dreamville newsletter. And if you're not subscribed, the general public can buy 2-day passes on Friday. Fayetteville native J. Cole created the festival, which is happening April 6th and 7th in Raleigh. The lineup has not been announced. Last year, Usher, Drake, and Lil Wayne performed. And of course, that will be at Dix Park, where you're looking live right now behind us, and it looks beautiful out there right now.
They'd take this weekend for sure if they could, or take this weather anyway. It might change by the weekend. Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center right now.
It looks like it will. So if you're in Zebulon, take off your shoes and run across the grass. Isn't it so beautiful there? Of course, this is a live look at the historic town hall at Zebulon. They have the prettiest lawn there, don't they? And beautiful blue sky sitting right above it, too. Our temperatures are feeling nice out there in the mid-70s currently. Our dew point's down at 50. That means it's very dry, so it's a pleasant feel out there. Temperatures will climb to around 80. And then by 6 or 7 o'clock, we're back down into the upper 60s to low 70s, of course. It's dark at that time. It's the time of year now. It's 76 in Southern Pines, 77 Clinton, 74 Rocky Mount, 75 in Roxborough. So temperatures holding in the mid to upper 70s right now. We should reach 80 this afternoon in Raleigh, 79 in Durham, and 81 in Fayetteville with that pretty sunshine. A lot of the country is seeing these much warmer than normal temperatures all the way from the Rockies to the East Coast. You can see the color contours there in orange. That's where temperatures are well above normal. The blue color contours are below normal. So we have a cold front that'll start to swing through and push all that cool air out into the Atlantic to be replaced by temperatures at or below normal. We look, somewhat below normal over the weekend. For today, looking at that high of 80, as we mentioned, 84, probably not going to hit that high, record high today, set back in 2022. I'm going to walk you through what our scenario is for tomorrow. We have the possibility of hitting 81 and breaking the record. On Thursday, we'll probably just miss it at 80 degrees. That previous record was 83. Here's a look at what's happening right now. This is a look at Futurecast, and we'll push it ahead and pause it right here at about 10 o'clock tonight. We have a flow coming out of the southwest. That wind is pretty breezy out there, pulling all that warmth from the tropics and from down south into our area. This front right here is the boundary, of course, between the warm air and the chilly air. And the chilly air on the other side of the front is eventually coming our way. Most of the computer models keep that front north of us during the next 48 hours. But watch what happens with this one. This one has it dropping down in what we call a backdoor front, coming in the opposite way that most of our fronts come from. And if that happens, we get into a northeasterly flow. It could drop our temperatures just a little bit. So maybe we'd be looking at mid-70s. We probably wouldn't be looking at 80. Very quickly, it would retreat back up to the north, and that southwesterly flow would pick up for Thursday, easily making it back to around 80 degrees. After that, we're done for at least a little while. The cold front itself slides southward, and that's going to put us in the cool sector of this system. You can see a little bit of light patchy rain here on Friday, and then on Saturday, it's cloudy, but we're starting to see the models trending a little bit drier on Saturday. That was the opposite yesterday. It was looking a little wetter Saturday. Today, we're back to looking a little bit drier Saturday, and definitely cooler on the other side of that front. So Friday 69, Saturday 60, and 57 on Sunday. Big change compared to what we're seeing right now. Saturday, of course, is Veterans Day. And again, it may look cloudy, but currently it looks like it'll be dry for us for much of the weekend. The only thing that could happen is we are watching the potential for a coastal low. That could roll in Monday, and possibly we could see some rain beginning late on Sunday. We'll talk a little more about that coming up.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Coming up on our news at 4, Fayetteville father's plea for justice. His son, James Daniel Jr., died last month, one of 3 people killed in Fayetteville within 24 hours. His family shares more about his life and what's next in the search for who's responsible for his death.
Then at 5, could vaccines or antibody treatments hold the key to curbing the opioid crisis? How a Triangle company is trying something new to prevent overdose deaths. Adding a little bling on steering wheels could cause big problems. Why a government agency is warning people to remove the decals immediately.
Plus, there's still time to get your flu, COVID, and RSV shots. Coming up, the data that has some medical professionals worried about a spike in all three illnesses.
Love seeing how our local shopping centers are getting decked out for the holidays. You see the Christmas tree there and the ice rink in Cary at Fenton. All open. You can go ice skating in shorts and t-shirts this week. You're watching WRAL News, available on Spectrum and the WRAL app on your TV or streaming device.
Still no deal to end the actors' strike after a long bargaining session. The union representing actors says there are still several essential items it couldn't agree to. One of those concerns the use of artificial intelligence in movies and TV shows. The two sides were talking after movie and TV producers made what they called their best and final offer over the weekend. Today's the 117th day of the strike that has brought production in Hollywood to a halt. It was valued at $47 billion just 4 years ago. We now know that WeWork has filed for bankruptcy. The office-sharing company expanded aggressively at the top of the market and then saw its business crumble during the pandemic when people were working from home. Today, it's dealing with unprofitable locations and almost $19 billion in debt. WeWork owes $100 million in unpaid rent and fees to real estate companies and property owners.
A government agency says 4 2023 large pickup truck models may not be safe for rear seat passengers in a crash. The Insurance Institute for Highway Safety says the Ram 1500 Crew Cab, Ford F-150 Crew Cab, and Chevrolet Silverado 1500 all scored poor in a new moderate overlap front crash test. The Institute also says the 2023 Toyota Tundra Crew Cab earned a marginal rating. All models offer good protection in the front seats, but the back seat protections were inadequate. Customizing your steering wheel could put you in danger. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration is warning drivers against putting market rhinestone decals on steering wheels. When an airbag deploys in a crash, the decals can turn into projectiles. At least one driver has lost sight in one eye from a flying rhinestone decal.
Now's the time to book a trip to Europe. Some airlines have recently added new routes between the U.S. and Europe, and plans to offer more flights on some routes next year are currently in the works. The added flights mean lower prices for people traveling. TikTok is scrapping its $2 billion creator fund, which was intended to pay creators who made videos that reached a wide audience. In 2020, TikTok promised that over the course of 3 years, $1 billion would be distributed to those who qualified. Some content, though, creators there say that the fund did nothing for them and paid them pennies for some of their videos. The fund will shut down on December 16th.
Voters in many states will head to the polls today for off-year elections. Why some say this could signal what's ahead for 2024.
Hey, if you have a teenager at home, you know their smartphone can serve as a constant distraction. Many teachers feel the same way. Coming up, how one school district is taking steps to promote better learning habits. And here's a look at your winning NC Education lottery numbers on your screen right now.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
New this hour, a major break in a Raleigh cold case dating back to 1998. WRAL's Ken Smith is here now with what we know about how investigators were able to identify a suspect in this case. Ken.
You know, in a phrase, new and improved DNA testing led authorities to the suspect 25 years later. This is the man right now in custody, 58-year-old Erwin King. He is charged with first-degree rape and first-degree kidnapping. His arrest warrant notes the incident happened on Durley Road in Raleigh back in 1998. King is what investigators call a career criminal. Raleigh police say investigators got a positive match to King when the state crime lab ran a rape kit through the Combined DNA Index System, or CODIS. That's a national database made up of DNA profiles from convicted offenders, unsolved crime scene evidence, and missing persons. As of today, North Carolina investigators have arrested 161 people from CODIS hits, all sexual assault cases. Well, King is scheduled for his first court appearance this afternoon. WRAL's Chelsea Donovan will be in court. Look for new reporting from her on this story, including the status of the current backlog of rape cases. That's all starting at 4, right here on WRAL. Renee.
And in this case, finally an arrest 25 years later. Ken, thank you.
A federal hearing for a Cary man accused of threatening to kill children in a mass shooting is delayed now until next month. Kevin Douglas is charged with cyber stalking. Authorities say Douglas made 9 threatening tips online to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. He said he wanted to shoot and kill Mexican children. One person was stabbed at a bus stop in Durham. This happened on East Main Street around 9 o'clock last night. The person who was stabbed was taken to the hospital and is expected to recover. Police say that person did not know the other person who stabbed him.
It's Election Day 2023. Despite it being an off year, there are some key races analysts are watching. And with a presidential debate just one day away, will voter participation preview what awaits presidential hopefuls in 2024? NBC's Drew Petromol reports from Washington.
Voters in several states across the country heading to the polls in a preview of presidential and congressional races this time next year. In Virginia, Republicans aim to take control of the state legislature.
We are the party of hope. We are the party of low taxes. We are the party of small business.
While Democrats hope to win governor's races in the deep red states of Mississippi and Kentucky.
Are you ready to win? Yeah!
One of the things that we've seen in this current off-year election cycle is 2 issues really manifesting. And for the Democrats, that's abortion, and for the Republican, that is crime.
The abortion issue being tested in Ohio as voters decide whether to add abortion protections to the state's constitution. It's an issue Democrats across the country are using to win over some Republican voters.
I'm not that much pro-life. I'm sort of in the middle, you know. So even though tend to be more pro-choice, I'm still a Republican. So
all this as Republican presidential candidates prepare to hit the debate stage tomorrow night in Miami. 5 candidates qualified for this 3rd debate, including Ron DeSantis, who got a boost Monday from the governor of Iowa, the first state to vote in the presidential primary next year.
I am so proud to stand here tonight and give him my full support and endorsement for President of the United States of America.
Former President Donald Trump skipping the debate once again after appearing in a courtroom Monday to testify in his civil trial. From Washington, Drew Petromol, NBC News.
Despite Donald Trump's legal woes, a new poll shows him leading in 5 important swing states in a hypothetical matchup with President Biden 1 year before the election.
A Texas woman runs a charity honoring her slain daughter's life, but she also is running for mayor of Uvalde, Texas. Kimberly Mata Rubio lost her 10-year-old daughter, Lexi, in the mass shooting at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde last year. Uvalde is still a divided town following the massacre and what many consider to have been a botched police response. Today's election is the first time voters in Uvalde will select a mayor since the tragedy. Mata Rubio says it is time to take the town in a new direction.
I'm never stopping as her mom, as an advocate, but as running for mayor, my main focus is bringing the community back together because we cannot move forward, we cannot see progress until we're on the same page.
If she wins, Mata Rubio would become Uvalde's first female mayor. The school shooting in Uvalde in May of 2022 left 19 students and 2 teachers dead.
And happening right now in the WRAL Live Center, this just in: more than 400 U.S. citizens and their families have been able to leave Gaza through the Rafah crossing, the border crossing there. This includes U.S. citizens, permanent residents, and other qualified individuals. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said last week that there were approximately 400 American citizens and their family members, about 1,000 people total stuck in Gaza. Again, more than 400 U.S. citizens have been able to leave Gaza. That border is carefully controlled by Hamas militants.
Michelle, thanks. Today marks the start of Operation Greenlight. It's a week-long effort to raise awareness for the challenges faced by many veterans and the available resources. Veteran services departments across our area are calling on people to light up their porches and other outdoor areas with the color green. Operation Greenlight runs today through Veterans Day on November 11th. In about 30 minutes, city leaders in Raleigh will discuss plans to improve Six Forks Road. The proposed widening project extends from the North Hills area to Lynn Road. It is going to be a lot more expensive than what the city originally thought. The initial plans for the project were estimated to cost $31.3 million. That number is now estimated to be $119 million because of increased real estate prices. The city might be able to make smaller improvements, but the full widening project may not happen due to the skyrocketing costs.
The CDC is expanding an infectious disease surveillance program at 4 major U.S. airports. Jonathan Seri reports this comes ahead of what could be a busy cold and flu season.
As millions prepare to travel for the holidays, the CDC is expanding its traveler-based surveillance program to test for more than 24 pathogens, including the flu and RSV. The agency says the changes will take place at 4 major airports. The program launched in 2021 as a way to test international passengers for COVID-19. It operates in 7 major U.S. airports and obtains samples through voluntary nasal swabbing and airport wastewater. The expansion comes ahead of what could be a busy season for healthcare providers.
As we, I think, have stopped masking, people are now spreading disease in a different way than we had a little bit of a break, perhaps during the pandemic. But now we just see an uptick in these viruses.
Public health officials expect hospitalizations for COVID-19, the flu and RSV to top pre-pandemic levels. CDC data show as many as 80,000 children under 5 are hospitalized with RSV each year. It's why doctors are scrambling to restock a medication that provides short-term protection for infants. The FDA approved the antibody over the summer, but demand is still outpacing supply.
The increased demand, that means inventory has shot all the way down. So I guess the manufacturers are trying to ramp up inventory of those and get those sent out. But everybody has a waiting list.
There's Jonathan Seri reporting. Doctors are urging pregnant women to get an RSV vaccine, which can reduce hospitalization among babies within the first 6 months.
Still to come, the positive results one school system is proud of after banning cell phones at school. We'll explain the improvements it's seeing academically and socially.
And it's not just kids. Adults can have ADHD as well. The signs you may have it and how to best manage it. Our team is working to bring you exclusive stories. For coverage you'll find only on WRAL, visit WRAL.com and search only. Some adults who were not diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder as children may not even be aware they have it. Adults with ADHD may be tempted to take unnecessary risks. They might also have mood swings, like a quick temper or low stress tolerance. While there's no definitive test to diagnose it in adults, there are ways to lessen its impact. Manage your time, organize your tasks, and divide big jobs into smaller steps you can check off one by one. More teachers may be turning to chatbots to assist in their teaching. Some teachers acknowledge the potential for cheating with the technology, but they also see the ability to use it as an effective teaching tool. A new report says some students are receiving permission from their teachers to use chatbots for help on homework. However, they are still not allowed to access it during tests.
Middle and high school students can sometimes suffer from a condition known as being chronically online. That's when they're glued to their phones, constantly scrolling through social media and other platforms. One Florida school district is trying a new approach to win back their attention by banning phones from the classroom altogether. Schools with phone bans report higher test scores and increased student engagement. It's also helped cut down on bullying.
And middle school, not everybody has a phone. So it really levels the field as far as if you don't have a phone, I don't have a phone, kind of like a uniform. Everybody's the same.
There is some pushback from parents. Critics say the policy limits parents' ability to reach their children, especially in an emergency.
A singer from Goldsboro put his vocal range on display during last night's knockouts round on The Voice. Find out if it was enough to help him advance to the next round.
Plus, a Raleigh restaurant owner offers everyone a place at the table. Now her business is up for a big award. How you can help her come out on top.
Breaking right now in the WRAL Live Center, we have just learned that 2 Robeson County Sheriff's deputies have been shot in the area of Old Red Springs Road in Maxton. This is breaking news. We know right now that both deputies are being treated for multiple gunshot wounds at undisclosed locations. This is the post on Facebook by the Robeson County Sheriff's Office. They say a suspect is also shot and being flown to an undisclosed location. There are multiple responding agencies from across the county and the state on the scene right now. We have Sky 5 on the way to the scene. As soon as we know any more information, we'll bring it to you.
College basketball season is here, and Duke got it started right. The Blue Devils hosted Dartmouth last night at Cameron Indoor Stadium. They sent the Cameron Crazies home happy with a big win over the Big Green. Duke takes the season opener 92-54. UNC also started the new basketball season with a win. The Tar Heels came out hot. They were unable to pull away from Radford early. UNC dialed in the defense and fed Armando Bacot in the second half to extend the lead. The Tar Heels came away with an 86-70 win. NC State is 1-0 on the young season as well. The Wolfpack hosted the Citadel in their opener last night at PNC Arena. NC State never trailed in the game. They ended up with a 72-59 win to get the season started.
Amazing start for the ACC. 14-0 they were last night. All their games winning them. So when you turn to basketball season, it means winter sports season, Elizabeth. The weather is not cooperating.
It's not. I think it means golf season, doesn't it, Jeff? He already said he was driving the golf cart later on this afternoon. And why not? Oh, my goodness, so beautiful. We take a live look at Goldsboro. This is a look at Durham. Actually, lots of people out there on the lawn in front of the DPAC right now. Chapel Hill looking beautiful, courtesy of Top of the Hill Restaurant and Apex also. Just no matter where you look, absolutely beautiful. Near record highs for the next several days, today, tomorrow, and Thursday. And then a cold front comes through Thursday night. It'll bring a little bit of light rain on Friday, and then behind it, the cooler air arrives. We talked about that at the beginning of the newscast. We're looking at temperatures dropping into the 50s and 60s for this weekend. High pressure keeping things nice and warm for us. High pressure systems rotate clockwise. That high is pushing the warmth into North Carolina. We talked about the fact that this front right here is trying to dip southward, and it's possible that it's going to dip down into our area for tomorrow. Just briefly, that might cool us down just a touch, maybe 5 degrees. So right now we're holding it at 81 because the models are not showing any really good consensus on that. So we're holding it at 81, but it's possible. Check in with Mike and Kat tonight, and certainly with me tomorrow morning. And we'll talk about the fact that, whether or not we're going to drop that high or that high temperature or not. After that, we're back to a southwesterly flow, warming things up on Thursday, and then the bigger front comes through. Not a lot of rain with this, but we are looking at some scattered light showers on Friday, on and off during the day. Once this cold front is to our south, now we're on the chilly side, and we'll continue to see the temperatures dropping through the weekend. It looks gray too. We'll be in a northeasterly flow, and sometimes that's a gray pattern for us, and that's what we'll see likely on Saturday and Sunday with the temperatures cooling down. But right now, Saturday looks fairly dry. We'll watch the potential for a low to form right here along this front and start to spread some rain inland, possibly late Sunday into Monday. As that gets closer, we'll, of course, add that to the forecast if the computer models continue to trend in that direction. 30% Friday, just a 20% chance on Saturday. Left that 20% chance in just in case the models flip-flop. They've been flip-flopping a bit on Saturday's rainfall. Not a lot of rain on Friday, looking at just 1/10 to 1/4 of an inch, so it'll be light. Of course, we have seen our drought conditions worsening over the last couple of weeks, and the rain that we'll see Friday is not going to help things much, so it still stays a fairly dry week for us. Great boating conditions for today with that pretty weather, looking at highs in the 80s all the way through Thursday. 69 on Friday with the arrival of that front, and then we stay in the upper 50s to low 60s Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, and our overnight lows are back into the 30s and 40s. Right now we don't have any freezing temperatures in our 7-day forecast.
Elizabeth, thanks. A local business owner could win a special award, but she needs your help. Coming up, how you can make a place at the table a household name nationwide.
And here's a look at the winning Powerball numbers on your screen.
As we wrap things up, here's a look at a few of the headlines we're following today. It is Election Day and polls are open. Communities across the area, including Fayetteville, Cary, and Durham, are holding elections. Remember, you will need to show a valid photo ID. Stick with us on air and online for the latest results as they come in. We'll have coverage on our evening news and throughout the day on WRAL.com. The polls close at 7:30.
Raleigh police have made an arrest in a cold case dating back to 1998. New and improved DNA testing led authorities to the person who they believe did this. 25 years later now, 58-year-old Erwin King is charged with first-degree rape and first-degree kidnapping. His arrest warrant notes the incident happened on Durley Road in Raleigh back in 1998.
We have new details today about Fujifilm's new drug manufacturing facility in Holly Springs. We've learned Janssen, a Johnson & Johnson company, will be one of the tenants at that facility. The $2 billion site is expected to be up and running in 2025. Fujifilm Diosynth Biotechnologies already has a site in Morrisville. The company says this new one in Holly Springs will be its first large-scale manufacturing site in the U.S.
A Raleigh restaurant will be featured today on the Kelly Clarkson Show, and the business has a chance for a special honor. A Place at the Table is nominated for the show's Good Neighbor of the Year award. Voting for the award starts today on the show's Instagram story. You may remember A Place at the Table's Maggie Kane appeared on the Kelly Clarkson Show earlier this year. Today, she returns to talk with Kelly about the response the restaurant got afterward.
We were blown away by the response from the community.
Yeah.
We had so many folks come in over the weekend, the next week, people that lived 20 minutes away from us who had no idea who and what we were. It was incredible. And we also had so many more folks coming in needing meals too who found out about us. All of the responses on social media, on our website, emails that we got, folks wanting to start cafes. So we're just really grateful for that.
So the way it works, prices for meals at A Place at the Table are pay what you are able. Anyone is welcome to dine there and pay what they can, donate, volunteer, or pay it forward. You can see more of Kane's interview on the Kelly Clarkson Show today at 2 here on WRAL. Voting for Good Neighbor of the Year continues through Friday.
Goldsboro's own Caleb Sasser's run on The Voice is over, but he was able to show his talents one final time. Sasser performed during the show's knockout rounds last night. He chose a song that highlighted his higher voice register, Jealous by Nick Jonas. Love how he went up there and then went up again. Unfortunately, Caleb did not win the knockout round, and no one chose to steal or save him and ultimately keep him in the competition. John Legend was still very complimentary of Caleb's voice. He should be very proud of how he did, though.
I didn't steal Caleb because
NBC News Daily is next on WRAL. We'll be back in 30 minutes with a live update from Robeson County, where 2 deputies were shot.
Now, that's where you can get breaking news updates anytime on that story and much more in our WRAL News app. Have a good day.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.